It's the return of Tournament in a TeaBreak. I'm Ros Satar.
I'm Chris Oddo.
And we have almost got to the end of Manic Monday.
So close.
Ugh, but no cigar. We'll tell you why, and we'll stop all this silliness a little later. But yes, it was Manic Monday, and the reason why we had to have all the fourth round matches done is because the women will play their quarterfinals tomorrow. So it's a quick turnaround for the ladies. When I say almost, we had the joy of watching Juan Martín del Potro and Gilles Simon just basically bump the ball back and forth to each other for an eternity. God could have created another planet in the time that it took them to get the first set, and as a result, they are to finish. It's 2-1 to Del Potro. They're a match to finish. But we'll touch on them a little bit later. Today is all about the girls.
Amen.
And what a lineup we've actually got. It's that, considering that we've been talking non-stop about all the seeds that have scattered in the winds.
They have.
We've actually got a fairly good lineup. So, without further ado, which is a very British thing to say, let us anon. First up in line is... that was a feisty match, actually. Let's try that again. Su Shea and Dominika Cibulkova had a predictably entertaining match, I think. Lots of slicey, dicey scampering about the court. But for a somewhat controversial line call that left Cibulkova raging...
Yep.
I think it's fair to say. And it didn't actually put her in a very good light. So basically, I believe one of her returns was called out and then subsequently corrected a la Hawkeye. Shea felt that she had earned the point and she shouldn't have lost the point because she actually got the ball in play, but the correction arrived after she'd actually hit it. Because, let's face it, in the heat of the moment, if you feel you've got to play on the ball, you play it, even if it might actually be out. Mm-hmm. So then she refused to carry on until the referee came out. The referee came out, they conflabbed a lot, and then they decided to replay the point. So Cibulkova was then equally furious and decided to have a long conflab. Now, it was quite remarkable. Meanwhile, the crowd kind of put themselves firmly on the side of Shea and will start going, replay the point, which probably didn't help Cibulkova's mood. But it didn't actually affect the outcome. I think she admitted that for a couple of points it was still playing in her mind, and then she just got herself together and she came through that set and then pretty much dominated the second set. She came through, and interesting enough, Shea's press conference, she's a real character when she comes into press. And she's very giddy.
She's fun.
She's so funny. She's like, oh no, I was in no little bubble moment, and there's no bad blood on her part. But Cibulkova might find herself a little bit on the unpopular side when she takes to the court.
The social media didn't take kindly to it, did they?
No.
There's a lot of stress when you're at this round in a quarterfinal. Maybe she just overreacted. Maybe she regrets it. But it's just one of those things that happened. I think the more important thing is she won another match in straight sets. She's into the quarterfinals, playing very well, so she'll put that behind her and move forward. Some people might be angry with her, but I like her story nonetheless. I think she's been inspiring. The whole narrative with her getting bumped out as a seed and now backing it up and being in the quarterfinals and ready to square off with Yelena Ostapenko in the quarterfinals. That's a nice story.
Yeah, and I don't think she's ever had a bad story, actually. I mean, when she last reached the quarterfinals, there was all the talk of, should I cancel my wedding day? Because I didn't think that was going to get that deep. And then as it turned out, she went out in the quarterfinals, so she didn't have to worry about that in the end. So, there's always a decent narrative. And what I like about her, I spoke to her in Singapore when she won, and she came up with this wonderful thing of how when she was a kid in her local tennis club, people used to come up to her and say, you're too small to play tennis, go play something else. And then when she won the WTA finals, she actually sort of said, people called me too small. Well, look at me now. A real two fingers up to everybody. So I don't think a few disgruntled tweets is going to bother her one jot.
No, not at all. And it shouldn't bother us either. People that like what she is and what she's become and what she's done with her abilities. I mean, she's a fiery one. She. I mean, we hate to focus on her height, but she's 5'3", and she's one of the best servers at Wimbledon this week. So,
well,
good on her.
That's exactly what she said. You know, I'm not big, I'm not powerful, so I've had to learn how to be right up there with them. And you know, when you compare against somebody like Radwanska, who is also not big and powerful, she's slight. I mean, she's taller, but she's slight, and she doesn't have that same power. And she's had to learn how to be basically a magician on court to do that. And you know, I think there is room for that kind of play. But let's talk about Ostapenko, because she ended. Well, she had a real comeback, actually. She was way down to Sasnovich.
She was 5-2 down in the first.
Yeah, and then suddenly got the bit between her teeth, and off she went.
When she gets a rhythm, watch out! And she likes grass. I think she likes grass more than clay, or at least that's what she's saying right now. That's the party line for Ostapenko. She's pumped up about the way she's playing, where she's playing. I think she feels like she can pull another Grand Slam title out of her hat.
I mean, is she actually saying that she likes grass? I didn't.
She is. She likes it. She says it. She feels like it. She can be more aggressive on it. She said she was saying stuff today like other players don't really like it. They don't catch up with the speed at the pace of the play, but I like it. And it's clear that she does. She hasn't. Another player that hasn't lost a set. She's pitched 2 bagel sets in her last 2 rounds, so she's clearly feeling good.
Well, God help everybody then if she's like kind of I kind of like it, because when she's hitting that free, she is very, very dangerous. Yes. I think this has got feisty with a capital Phi.
The Sibylkova matchup
written all over it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And what she said about Sibylkova said, I like the matchup because she's a good baseline player. That means I'll get more rhythm. And we've seen what she can do with rhythm. You know, these two match up well. Sibylkova leads the remaining players, winning 61% of her baseline points, but Ostapenko not far behind at 58%. And I thought, if you let me stat geek out for a bit,
knock yourself out.
Cool. I thought it was interesting that Sibylkova leads the remaining players by winning 38%, or by having 38% of her second serves unreturned. That's a really good number, But Ostapenko is winning 72% of her return points against second serve. She's just been a wizard. So those two things matching up, the really effective serving of Sibylkova and the return game of Ostapenko, it's going to be a nice matchup.
One of them's going to drop a set.
Yep, definitely.
Okay.
We can guarantee that.
Brilliant. Okay. Now, the other matchup, in fact, this is such a stacked half of the draw. The other matchup that's interesting, again, another comeback story, I think, for Kasatkina. She came up against, and I apologise to all Dutch people, but tough, Alison van Uytvanck.
Fair enough.
She, AVU, as we've come to know her, did back up her win against Muguruza. Was looking very much in command against Kasatkina, and I actually found myself thinking, this is another Daria thing where she's done really well, and then she just runs out of answers. But blow me, she actually figured it all out.
She did.
She really did.
Yep. I was courtside for about half of the match, and the end of the first set and the beginning of the second set looked like, wow, Van Uytvanck is running away with this, because Kasatkina missed on a set point, then double faulted to hand the set over. Then she got down a break in the second. And then she hit this wicked winner at 2-1 that kept her in a game. It was a game point for Van Uytvanck. She's able to turn that game around and never look back.
Yeah, I think I really hope that this is a coming of age for Kasatkina. I really want to see her do exceptionally well in a slam.
This could be the one.
This could be the one, and definitely she's against a player that she has the measure of. I mean, at the beginning of 2017, when Angie was probably at her most vulnerable in terms of confidence, and right up there in terms of mental fortitude, she owned her. She beat her twice in a row. Angie came to the point where the name Kasatkina struck fear into her little Polish German heart. I mean, she did get the measure of again in Tokyo. Kerber actually managed to level things up and things are. Oh no, sorry, she leveled things up in Eastbourne. Right. So she's faced on Grat just yet. So I think that will do Kerber's confidence no end of good. Kerber, of course, is the highest seed left, which is quite surprising.
Unbelievable.
She's the highest seed left, and sometimes she still doesn't look convincing to me. Now, I don't know if this is a good thing because, maybe sometimes Angie needs to come from behind. I think if she's a front leader, sometimes it messes with her head. And I don't know whether at this stage, fighting and scrapping for every last ounce of strength is good for her because it makes her fight and gets her back to her default setting, or whether she'll want to be super aggressive Angie and be right out in front. I don't know. I would think with Kasatkina she'd want to get in front because you don't want to give her a chance.
I like the way these two match up. I think it screams 3 sets. It screams 3 tight sets. I mean, Kerber's got the experience. Dasha will benefit from being in the quarterfinals at Roland Garros just a month ago. That will help her a lot. But this is Angie's 10th Grand Slam quarterfinal. I think this is the 4th time she's gotten this far at Wimbledon. She's 27-10 lifetime at Wimbledon. So
wow,
she's got a lot of good things going for her. But this is going to be decided, I think, by the thinnest of margins. I think it's going to be very entertaining.
So we've got 2 really entertaining matches so far on this side. Let's hop across to the other side where we, no disrespect to either player, but I think we've got quite a surprise package coming out of this element.
Bottom half's a little strange.
We alluded to it. Karolina Pliskova, our resident slamless number 1, highest seed this morning, bottomed out to Kiki Bertens. Her serve wasn't working. She really looked kind of listless out there. I don't know. What did you think?
Yeah, I thought maybe she had another comeback in her, and she got back on level terms in the second. Just didn't have it today.
Yeah, she said it was too. It was too late. I think was she starting to come back from 1-4 or something? And she said, she was like, it's good that I could come back, but it's too late. Yeah. And she was very disappointed. Somebody tried to sort of say about the draw's wide open, and she was like, no, I don't hold that. I played badly, but you can't turn around and say, oh yeah, the draw is weak or whatever, and you can't dwell on the fact that all the seeds have gone out. But
no, she can't, but we can.
Yeah, exactly. But Kiki Bertens, I mean, she lost that really tight final in Madrid to Kvitova.
Oh, what a good final that was.
And that really, she was very close. Well, she was in tears in press. That really meant a lot to her. What is it, like 12 months ago, she was like, this is it, I'm hanging up my rackets and stomping off into the sunset with caramel waffles in hand, and then she changed her mind and came back. She's not what you would traditionally think of as a grass court player. She is probably more known for her clay court prowess. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, girl can make the switch.
Yeah, big game. I mean, 2-0 lifetime against Gerges. That might help her confidence. I don't see either of these players as being very confident about their abilities on this surface. They're both surprised that they're here. It's one of those strange matchups. It's a great opportunity for both. This is like what we see so often. Who's going to take that opportunity? Personally, I think Bertens is going to do it. I'm not sure why. It's just a gut feeling.
Yeah, because I agree with you. I think Gerges, she did well, I think, in Eastbourne or Birmingham, one or other of them. And Birmingham, I think it was. And she was super excitable when she came into press. And then the next match, she just faded. Mm-hmm. But, let's take nothing away from it. That's a very good win against Donna Vekic, who has been in extremely good form. I think Vekic's time is going to come, and I think we should expect to see her challenging next year for sure.
Yeah, I really loved Gerges' win the round earlier against Stricheva. That was a 10-8 in the third. That was a big one. That one probably boosted the confidence a bit. But yeah, very impressive today. Her numbers on the return haven't been great here at Wimbledon, so that's something to watch. She'll need to get that break game going in order to stay neck and neck with Bertens tomorrow.
Yeah, the only trouble is Bertens can get a little tight. That arm gets a little bit heavy when it really comes down to it, and Gerges might be able to take advantage of that. I think this will be entertaining, not quite for the same reasons as the other matches, but I think it'll be a good one to watch. And then we're left with who would you have picked this? Serena Williams versus Camilla Giorgi.
Yeah.
Let's start with Serena. There was never any doubt that she was going to get past qualifier Rodina in easy form, and she did. 2-2. Rodina's played qualifying, I think after a while that had to take its toll.
No surprise there.
Yeah.
Good job, Berdina. I saw her after the match walking in the hallway with a big wrapping around her thigh. She was at the end of her run, and she has a lot to be proud of.
Okay. And Georgie, well, again, her style of play is very much see ball, hit ball, hope ball go in, lather, rinse, repeat.
Hits a beautiful ball. I like watching her on the grass. I was noticing today. I think she's. I'm gonna quote some stats. I may be right, maybe wrong, but I think she's now 14-8 lifetime at Wimbledon. She's pretty solid here, and the other 3 slams combined, she's under 500. So this is her major to play well at.
I think she could call. I mean, it's interesting because somebody sort of asked her, what do you think about Serena? She goes, I don't know. I don't watch women's tennis. I don't care. And it's like, okay. And I think Serena handled the same question really well, where she's like, we played a few times. I think Serena's 3-0 against
correct.
her. Is that good?
Yeah, you're right about it. Can I just say, when I flipped on that presser on the media channel, I thought I was watching Twin Peaks for a few minutes. It was just Camila had this lacy outfit that she didn't wear. I don't know what it was, and it was just really her replies to the questions were strange. I think it has to do a little bit about her. I don't think she's the best with English, so I think she struggles a little bit. And people judge her on what she says. I don't think she really knows what she's saying some of the time. I think we need to cut her some slack on some of these really short and terse quotes that she gives, because I just don't think she has the best English command.
You're right, and when you're actually in the press conferences, it's very clear that her language is pretty limited. So a lot of the time, I mean, and we've seen it with other people. We saw it with Ostapenko a couple of years ago.
Right.
She'll tend to repeat back to you what you've said. So, for example, that was a really tight match, and you came through really well, and you'd be like, yeah, it was a tight match. I came through really well, and and you're like, didn't I just say that?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think what she meant was, of course I know who Serena is, but I don't watch her matches, and I don't watch women's tennis in general. And I'm just looking forward to the match. What it came out like. It's like, no, I don't watch women's tennis. Who is she? And it's like, of course she knows who Serena Williams is.
I saw her smiling quite a bit, which I haven't seen in other presses with her. So you can tell she's pleased about the win. I don't know how well she expressed it, but this has been a great run for her.
Yep. I still think Serena's going to own her though.
Yeah, I think Georgie's a little too reckless, a little too wild, making too many unforced errors. Has the lowest percent of return games won among the remaining players. And if she can't return against the people she's faced in the first 4 rounds, what luck will she have against Serena? I guess we'll have to wait and see, but I don't see her breaking much at all, maybe not at all.
Okay. We're going to cover the men, I think, in a little more detail tomorrow, but we must just talk about the kerfuffle that was almost in the making, which was some baffling scheduling. There's been baffling scheduling all the way through this tournament. In fact, one could argue all the way through the history of the tournament. So we'd had a couple of days this tournament where they had been more female heavy than the men on the courts, and everybody thought that was great. Obviously they had to be like that today because they had to get the women's matches done because they're playing the quarterfinals tomorrow. So is it a disaster that Del Potro and Simon are carried over? Not really, because they actually have a day off. Well, they don't, but they have a day before they have to play, and they only have to go through 2 sets. So it's not a complete disaster if a men's match is carried over. But Novak Djokovic was ready to go on. He was following Anderson and Monfils, and Monfils, in true Monfils style, it was actually a very good round of 16 match from him. It was very close the first 2 sets, and Anderson edged them out in tie breaks, and then Monfils took the next 7-5. So it was always nip and tuck. In fact, I think Anderson pipped him in a tie break as well. So it's a very, very good quality match from the Frenchman. However, while they were playing that 4th set, a decision was made to move Jamie Murray and Vika Azarenka. I think it might they may well have been a TBA to centre court before that had finished. And we learned in Novak Djokovic's press conference that he'd already been told that if it went to 5, they were actually going to cancel they were going to postpone his match.
Terrible.
Which, so imagine it from our perspective. It is rammed down our throats in the run-up to Monday that Manic Monday is the day. It is the day for fans. It is the day for us because it's probably the busiest day in the entire tournament apart from the first couple of rounds where you just don't stop. So the fact that they'd made a decision they were going to postpone it, okay, fine. Probably not great for the players, but at least you know where you stand. But the fact that they went through all of this while Anderson could have done it, was baffling enough. The fact that they put Jamie Murray and Vika Azarenka on centre court anyway was astounding because you would think that was the match that they would have to try and get finished. So we were having a great big debate in our writing room. I don't know what it was like where you were, but we were like very, very surprised.
Well,
nobody was impressed with that scheduling at all.
No, I think you're looking at Djokovic. In the scenario you laid out, Djokovic not playing tonight, having to play tomorrow. Then you're looking at him playing tomorrow, and then the next day playing Kenny Nishikori. So back-to-back difficult matches. It's not fair at all to have someone go through a draw like that, and he's probably the winner of that Djokovic-Nishikori match would get Nadal. It always gets screwed up. We get that, but why does it always seem to fall on Djokovic? It's just a little bit strange, and I guess the best solution would have been to put Djokovic second and then put the Anderson match later. If those guys get postponed, nobody's talking about it as much.
Correct.
I don't remember the exact scenario with Djokovic, but this has happened before here. It's just getting a little weird.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason and even then, this reason doesn't even fit. The only reason I think they put him on last is because he was last in his last match, so they need to give him enough thing. But we had Middle Sunday,
so there's some logic.
But we had an extra.
We did. I know we had a day off.
Everybody had a day off, so that doesn't count. It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
And we know as journalists, we know that the fandoms of the big three, the big four, the big five, if you include Stan, are very passionate about their players, and we know that everybody gets really het up. But in the face of fairness, it does seem that Djokovic gets the short end of the wedge a lot.
Yeah.
And people are like, well, it's favoritism for Federer, and we were talking about it while waiting for the Uber. Ideally, Federer needs to have his turn on court number one. He should be on court number one.
Yeah, but they wouldn't.
But they're not going to put him on court number one.
No, they respect their champions, and I think they respect their 8-time champions more than their 3-time champions, which is.
But surely their scheduling is going to have to be Roger and Novak on centre court. I mean, you would not put Isner and Raonic on centre court for a quarter-final.
I hope not. No, but Nadal Del Potro is a fun one. I have no idea. It just seems like
it just drives me mad. I mean, has Nadal played on court one yet?
I think so.
Okay, so in the interest of fairness, they would have to put Federer on court one. If Nadal's already been out on court one, because look at it though, you've got 3 multiple champions from Wimbledon, all playing on the same day.
It would be such a surprise though. Am I not correct there? How surprised would you be if Federer was on court one? It's not going to happen.
Well, we'd have to give him a sat nav because he wouldn't know where it is for a start.
When was the last time?
I honestly don't.
Juniors? No.
Again, probably when dinosaurs held rackets in their teeny tiny paws. I guess I don't know.
I'm trying to think now if Nadal. I'm trying to get a picture of Nadal being on court one. I don't know. Maybe first round Dudicella.
No.
Kukushkin. I can't remember.
I can't remember, but.
Don't quote me on that one, then.
I mean, it is a dilemma, and I got into it on Twitter with a few fans as well. That they were like, kind of, oh, well, think of the fans. It's like, yeah, think of the fans because they are paying to watch this after all. But think of the players because if they didn't have the players, the fans would have nobody to watch. And at the end of the day, you have to try and make it fair for these people. They're competing for a Grand Slam title. They're not competing for a watermelon.
Yeah, it seems like Wimbledon runs into this darkness issue a little more than they should. So it's tricky, but yeah, I think they should be aware that yes, if they get 1-5 setter, they're in trouble.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they should have thought about it. And then again, right, they had the chance to just move them to center instead of a mixed doubles match, which that was a great match.
Oh yeah, it was a fantastic match.
Absolutely thrilled about it.
You know, I'm sure everybody that was absolutely giddy at the prospect of seeing Jamie and Vika. But with the greatest will in the world, the whole point of Manic Monday is to get all of these round 4 matches done. Yeah. In order to do that, you have to get your head around the scheduling, and you do not schedule a doubles match. Yeah. The only reason I think they did is because you can really only have 4 matches a day on court on centre court, less ideally, and you would be putting a 5-setter instead of a 3-setter on there. Yeah,
they have a lot of stuff to think about. I wish there was some transparency. Really. Yeah, I wish they would explain the motives for the scheduling when it gets like this, and we would kind of all know what they're thinking. And then maybe it would kind of keep them in check about maybe if there is any favoritism, they'd have to air it out, and then maybe have to think about, well, maybe this doesn't look good.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm guessing you feel the same about the US Open. It's your slam, and there's an element of protectiveness towards an iconic sporting venue in your own country. And Wimbledon is one of those things that you grow up watching, and you wish to be there. When you go there the first time as a fan, it is a magical experience. When you're actually working the tournament, it's a privilege and an honour. But sometimes, I swear to God, I look at some of the scheduling and I just want to bash my head against a brick wall.
Yeah, it can be tricky.
Anyway, that's enough.
That was fun.
That was fun, though.
I don't know if we solved anything, but...
No, but I feel much better, and it's cheaper than therapy.
Yes.
Okay, so we will come back tomorrow with a full rundown of the men.
Wow. And we're going to be talking about the semifinals on the women's side, which is why I said wow.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So join us tomorrow, and we will. In the meantime, we wish you a very good evening. You've been listening to Ros Satar from Britwatch Sports
and Chris Oddo from Tennis Now.
Thank you for listening.
Good night.